Words that may not even appear in your vocabulary. NETCONF and RESTCONF. Well, what in the world is that about? Find out more right here on IT Pro TV.
You're watching IT Pro TV.
That's right. We are jumping into the world of programming and automation. And here, of course, to help us to get started is Anthony Sequeira. All right, Anthony, as we start to actually realize that our job roles are changing. It's no longer just about working with routers and switches from the command line. We're now heading into this world where we have to learn a little bit more. And today we're beginning with NETCONF and RESTCONF. What is that about?
Yeah, so it's really interesting when you look at the Encore course. I was thinking about this last night. It's interesting how we have kind of generations of technologies that we're studying together. And we still have what we consider like legacy ways to do things. And it's great that we still have them, because when you find something that works for you, it's often a really good idea not to change.
Right.
You know, I think it was my grandfather who first said to me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so this is yet another tool, two tools actually, that are very closely related. This is yet another set of tools that's in our tool belt,
right,
that we can take advantage of. So we'll do a little bit of history here. Let's begin with NETCONF. Now, again, I want to give a little bit of history. Back in the olden days, when I started with Cisco gear, you configured it one way. You consoled in and you sat at the CLI banging away. And I still cherish that work. Ronnie cherishes that work. It's just what we love to do. But then like a tool came along like Simple Network Management Protocol that Cisco embraced.
Right.
And this was used for monitoring very heavily. And then they're, really started to look at, okay, we can reconfigure stuff with SNMP. But admittedly, there was all kinds of challenges configuring gear with the Simple Network Management Protocol. So the standards makers were like, there's gotta be a better way. And this is tools that grew out of that push. They may seem a little dated with some of the very fancy stuff we can do today, but we want to be aware of these tools. This reminds me a lot of like the embedded event manager.
Right.
That's been around for a long time to give us automation inside of our device, but still could have great value to you. So here's how this works. Very similar, but much improved upon Simple Network Management Protocol. There's a management station. There's our routers. We want to configure them. Remember, this is all about config, where SNMP was kind of always adapted to support configuration. This is like, let's configure the devices right out of the gate. What we do is we utilize a data representation model called Yang. So we make sure that our management station understands Yang and that our devices that we're going to manage out there support Yang. Now, we will, in Encore, give you a nice, easy to understand breakdown on what Yang is. So don't panic if you're like, I've never heard that term before. What is Anthony talking about? It is a really cool way to represent data, and we'll give you a full breakdown on it. Now, you've got everything supporting Yang. Great, because that's a requirement for this NETCONF functionality. Then what you're going to have happen is you're going to send via XML another standard way to represent data. And I bet you almost everyone in the audience has heard of XML before. This is just a great standards way to send a bunch of information and have a machine understand it. And it was celebrated, by the way, early on because it's so human readable. What's funny about that is we now make fun of that because we have JSON, which is way more readable than XML. So we've improved upon XML these days, but this technology, NetConf, is going to have everybody understand the Yang model. It's then going to send the things that need to be configured on the device via XML. And this is admittedly, even today, still a pretty cool way to automate the configuration of your devices. But I got a problem here, Ronnie. What about security?
Right.
In SNMP, they invented version 3, which solved the problem of SNMP standing for, in many people's minds, security, not my problem. That's the big joke we always make with SNMP, right? It had no security. It wasn't the problem of that protocol to work that out. Now they fixed that. Well, we need a solution here. And the solution for security, no big surprise, we can do this over SSH, great idea, or even our TLS. So we can do it over those, clientless VPN type TLS tunnels between these devices. So great, we can add security. Now, this was all fine and good and was enhanced to make it more compliant with the way we love to do things today. And that is what RESTCONF is all about. Notice now we can integrate JSON. And I will promise you something I just thought of that I will add to our episode where we cover JSON. I will show you side by side, in case you've never seen it, XML versus JSON, and you'll see how JSON is an improvement for human readability. So now we have even more human readable instructions that we're going to shoot down to those systems for their configuration. And notice RESTCONF. REST is in the title. We love RESTful APIs today. Ronnie and I will explain more and deep dive on that in our section on APIs, but REST APIs is what we love. So you can see that NetConf was really enhanced with RESTCONF to be more compliant with the standards and the way people want to do everything today. And just not to give too much away from our episode on APIs, but I just want to make clear that the reason why RESTCONF and REST APIs and all that is so celebrated is definitely cloud. The explosion in cloud technology, both private cloud and public cloud and hybrid cloud, the explosion in the popularity of that is what's driving this push towards RESTful APIs. And it's great that RESTCONF takes the NetConf approach and modernizes it for our cloud-based world.
Yeah, this is these two protocols are actually very interesting in the very fact that they are really the connection that's providing that ability for us to be able to send those Yang models across and be able to make that understanding. But one thing I definitely want to make sure that we point out, and the reason why I remember this is because I took an exam not too long ago, and they asked about really simple things, which is like port numbers, okay? So with NetConf, you want to make sure that you remember that that operates on port 830. I had to look it up and make sure. So it operates on port 830, but the easy thing about RESTConf, and if you actually think about REST APIs and the way they operate is over HTTP or HTTPS, port 443.
Yeah.
So that actually makes it easy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I would have gotten RESTConf because I would have worked it out in my head that it's sent over HTTPS. And I know, like my middle name, that's 443. I wouldn't have gotten NetConf. And, we have a few minutes here. I want to emphasize something to you. If you're interested in the Encore exam, you are not going to score 100%. If you do, I have a $100 Amazon gift card for you. Okay? And that's not through IT Pro TV. That's out of my pocket. If you score a perfect score on Encore, I want you to contact me through, my social media, through IT Pro TV. You'll get a hold of me, and I want you to share that perfect score with me, and I'll give you a $100 gift card. So I know that can be very difficult for many of our viewers. Believe me, when I took this exam on the first day of its release, yes, I'm a nerd, I was shooting for a perfect score. Of course I was. And I really thought I could get it. But I missed a whole bunch of questions. So the reason I'm bringing this up is if you have the first 3 questions of Encore and you don't know those 3, keep going. There's 102 questions on this test. Don't panic. There is going to be things they ask that you're like, I can't believe they're asking me that. I don't know that. Don't let it stress you out. We are looking for a passing score. No one is ever going to ask you, what did you score in the Encore test? No one's going to ask you. They're going to ask you, did you pass Encore? So, quick little aside there. And $100, Amazon.
All right, Anthony. Well, thank you for helping us here to understand a little bit more about NETCONF and RESTCONF. All these are going to be more important topics that they're essentially building blocks that we need to understand as we dive more into that realm of network automation and programmability as well. But that will end it for this episode then. Signing off for IT Pro TV, I'm your host, Ronnie Wong.
And I'm Anthony Sequeira.
Stay tuned right here for more of your CCNP Encore show.
Thank you for watching IT Pro TV.